Getting on to self-improvement will often feel like the death of your social life. But in this video, I want to really show why it's not that way, why it doesn't have to be that way, and why you should take socializing, your social life, as seriously as the gym, as your fitness, as your diet, your sleep, because I think it is the cornerstone of a good life. But clearly despite that, there is lots of sort of talk out there on self-improvement of just ditching your social life, going on monk mode, and just forgetting all those friends, to just not have time for socializing. It's seen as like a very frivolous activity. And I think there's a variety of reasons for this, and there's a variety of reasons why so many young men who get onto self-improvement feel very inclined to just get rid of their social life. And then I'm going to talk about why it's a bad thing. So I think the biggest reason, actually, why people who are on self-improvement, they sort of get rid of their social life, is because, unfortunately, most people's social lives are so bad that it's better off just not having one at all. And I do relate to this a bit myself, because I think I did go through this thing of going into basically just ditching my social life, just effectively just going into monk mode. And yeah, it was very refreshing just to get rid of the social life because a lot of it wasn't serving me. I've always been quite a people pleaser. It's been difficult to say no to other people. And so sort of what I almost didn't realise was that socialising was just me saying yes to stuff, so that people would like me, But on a deeper, if you're like that, if you're too much of a people pleaser, you don't tap into those deeper friendships that require you to show a more authentic version of yourself, which is quite scary, because if you show a more authentic version of yourself, that means saying no to stuff. And that means people might like you less, And so I think a lot of young people have the same scenario where, like, they maybe not for this exact reason, but they'll have like a shit social life. They'll have a shit bunch of friends that frankly don't give a fuck about them. And one day they just think, oh, enough's enough, and they'll just get rid of all those friends. They'll stop hanging out with them. And they'll think, oh, my life's so much better. I don't need a social life. Therefore, that's what they'll conclude. They're like, we'll go without a social life. I'm better off on my own. And it's like, yes, you are better off on your own. That's absolutely true. But it doesn't mean you shouldn't still have a good social life. That there isn't a good social life out there that would make you happy. And the other thing is, which is slightly related, is a lot of bad habits, just generally, are associated with socialising. So stuff like drinking, smoking, taking drugs. Obviously people do all that stuff alone, but almost all of them start from doing it socially, and all of those things it so wraps up in socialising. And if you just abandon socialising, that's a real quick win in some sense, because suddenly, unless you have other places where you do it, like unless you're used to having a glass of wine with an evening meal, or you're used to having a cigarette after work, or whatever. If you're used to doing all those things, then suddenly you stop doing them. If you're used to doing it in a social situation, that is, and then suddenly you stop doing it, there's no other place for you to do it naturally. So it's like, great. And this was my experience, kind of third year of uni, I just stopped pursuing nights out. I was very, just stopped being proactive about it. I just stopped going out. And as a result, I just stopped drinking, like I did dry January, and it was absolute breeze because I just didn't really see anyone. I didn't really have any reason to drink, one or two times I had to, and then I'd have to, I was socialising there, and then I would just get a cranberry juice or whatever. But, for the large part, it was just as that simple switch of like not socializing, and suddenly bam, you know, that's half our bad habits just gone, you know. And so it's very easy, like from the outset, to just get rid of your social life. Like, it does look like your life's just 10 times better. But we're going to talk about some of the negatives. So I think the biggest negative, and probably the most sad negative, is that even if you don't realise it, you will be incredibly lonely if you don't have a social life at all. I look at some of these old videos of me, like of a similar time when I just started out on YouTube, and I started making these videos, and I don't know, maybe it's just me that sees this, but I can just tell that like I'm not doing well, you know. Like I just in many ways, like, I was doing great, you know. I started going to the gym properly for the first time, you know. I was staying up. I wasn't staying up late. I wasn't drinking, getting pissed. I wasn't, you know, I stopped smoking, you know, all those things. In a sense, my life had never been better, but even though all this great stuff had happened to me, you can tell I'm just a little bit lonely, you know. And, you know, I'm just sitting there in my bedroom on my own, and I've shaved my head, you know. I'm sort of slouched over, and it's just like, this poor guy, man, like, someone give this poor, bald guy a hug, you know. That's kind of my reaction to these videos. I mean, maybe it'd be different for other people because, you know, like, I suppose this is my experience, you know, that I can look back on. But yeah, it's just because your life's great without the friends you used to have doesn't mean you're not lonely necessarily. And, you know, it's funny because if you asked me, I would have said, oh, I'm doing great, you know, I've never been better. And again, like, it's true, you know, I was brilliant. It's so, like, you know, I quit smoking. What an enormous win, you know. I started waking up early for the first time in my life, you know, easily. I got some of the best sleep I've ever had. You know, all this amazing stuff that had happened to me. But I was still lonely, you know. And I remember when this sort of changed, because I went on a date with this girl, and this was a bit sort of later on, and this was like the first, it sounds so silly, but like, it was one of the first times I'd like seen someone in like, I don't know, a while. Like, I wouldn't say it was like a month, you know. Like, obviously I still hung out with my housemates, I still, you know, went to the pub with people occasionally, but, you know, I remember going on this date and I was thinking, this is the first time, it was a change to the routine, you know. The routine was normally just go home, record some videos, you know, have some foods, and get to bed early, you know. But this was a change to routine. It was like I was doing something social all of a sudden. And I remember going on this date, and, you know, it like went really well, like it was a nice time. And I remember just walking back home after that, and that night I journaled for like 4 hours until like 4 o'clock in the morning, because I was so struck by the experience I'd had on the date. And I just realised that I've been barking up this wrong tree the whole time. Like, it's great, I'm in good shape, you know, I've got on self-improvement, you know, I'm doing something productive with my time, but I'm still, doesn't mean I'm not lonely, you know, and it doesn't mean that I shouldn't make time for this stuff as well. And it made me think a bit, this is going to make me sound very sort of arrogant to say this, but it made me think of that line from Hurt by Johnny Cash. I mean, it's not by Johnny Cash, but, you know, that's the version that everyone knows, where he says, like, oh, my empire of dirt. And, you know, again, that sounds a bit sort of self-conscious, but self-confident, but that's exactly how I felt. I just thought, I've got this great life, you know, I'm making progress in the gym, you know, I'm getting disciplined, I'm having cold showers, I'm meditating, you know, I've got this cool YouTube account, but I'm still fucking lonely, you know. And it's just like, what is this all for? If at the end of the day, I just get home and, you know, it's just nothing, like I haven't got a girlfriend, I haven't got a good group of friends that I can really rely on. You know, what is it all worth if I don't have that? And I just think this is the problem. You just lose touch with reality if you're out on your own. And you just end up hyper-focusing on unnecessary goals. You know, that's just not important. And it gets quite addictive as well, you know, like I just kind of, this is the thing, I just ended up adding on more, you know, more going to the gym, more meditating, more journaling, more YouTube videos. But at the end of the day, like I was doing enough of that, like, that was fine. What was missing was a social life, you know, and you know, I'm so happy, I'm so grateful to be in the position where I'm in now, where like I'm slowly managing to like mix them together, and I can have like a proper like good social life, but at the same time I have good habits, and so this just leads me on to basically the message of the video, and the whole takeaway is I still believe that not having a social life is better than having a bad one. You know, and most people's social life is shit. You know, like their friends don't care about them. They're not where they want to be in their life. They don't know what they're doing with their life. You know, they're not happy, and their friends are holding them back. I do believe that, and those guys would be better off if they were just lonely. You know, but they were making some progress in their lives. But I think it doesn't have to be like that, because you can have a good social life. You know, one where you have friends who, and if you find a good social life, you'll find that your friends will propel you forwards rather than hold you back. So it's not even a sacrifice to your self-improvement, a good social life, because it's actually adding to it. And if you want to really improve to the max, you want to find a good social life, because then you'll find people who share your values, and who sort of, you can just bounce off each other, and it's a mutual relationship, and you'll go much faster than you ever would have if you're just on your own. So I just advise treating your social life as any other aspects on your self-improvement journey, and don't wait to solve it, because another thing that's very tempting to do if you're on self-improvement is to think, I'm not worthy of the guys I want to hang out with yet. Like, I need to put in more effort. You know, like you see these big sort of influencers on YouTube, and you think they're who you want to be friends with, really. You know, like those kind of people. Let's be honest. You know, they're the guys you look up to, and so you think, but then you think, I'm a long way down to where they are. So if I want to be making friends with people like that, people that I look up to, then I've got to put in the work until that point. I say no. Start today. You will find people who you actually want to be friends with, who will benefit your life today. But you have to be proactive about finding them. So I just think, reach out to people. You know, like I've really got in the habit recently of just, you know, even people I don't really know that well, you know, and usually I'm like, is it worth me popping up to them? And but I've never regretted doing it, just being proactive about it, just saying to someone, let's meet up. If I genuinely want to see them, you know. And I think that's the key thing. Just treat it like the gym. Treat it like an exercise that you have to work on. You know, put time into arranging stuff that you want to do, and then like do stuff for that time that you genuinely want to, you know, and sort of organise stuff on your terms. So like, you know, normally I don't really like sort of hosting stuff or like doing stuff in my area, because I feel like that's kind of a lot of pressure, it's a lot of responsibility. But increasingly I've just been like, even if I can't, like the area I live in at the moment, it's not great for like going for a pint. You know, it's not a very interesting place to do that. But I think it's much better to have like, for it still to be me who's like come to my area, and you know, rather than me going to their area, you know, because I think that just sort of sets a good precedent. Like, I don't really know why, but it's just a good precedent. Even if it would be better for you to go to a friend's house, you know, because he's got a nicer house or whatever it is, sort of just sort of almost insist on, no, come to mine, do this at mine, and people respond really well to that. And you just seek out that growth feeling that you get from the gym, that you get from getting a good night's sleep, that you get from meditation. Seek that out from socialising as well, because it is possible to get that from socialising. So there's no reason for you to not pursue that. even if you're on self-improvement. And like I say, guys, don't wait. Like, start today. Just be as proactive as you can, and your life will just be so much better. Because honestly, I just think at the end of the day, you can do all this self-improvement stuff, but really, all you want, if we're being really honest, is like, have a bit of fun with some friends. You know, that's worth so much to us. You know, whether we admit it or not, just having just being caught up in the moment with, that sounds a bit weird, but like, you know, just being in the moment with a friend where you're laughing at a joke together, you know, that's worth more than, I mean, you know, I'm saying this as like a guy who's, you know, got a long way to go in his life, but I think that is, from my perspective, I think that's worth so much more than like a massive physique or, you know, a really successful business or, you know, all the sort of luxuries. It's just the hard work can get you. Just being in the moment with someone and like a true friend, and like you're on the same wavelength about things. You can be yourself around them. You know, you're not trying to be someone else. That's worth so much. And so I really think it's so sad that so many people in self-improvement don't have that, you know. So I hope that someone gets something from this. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys.